The world is silent and frozen. In the tall grass of the North American plains, a herd of woolly mammoths stands still, their massive tusks gleaming under a pale sun. Suddenly, the sky transforms into a canvas of fire. A shockwave ripples through the atmosphere, flattening forests and turning the horizon into a wall of heat. This is not just a storm. This is the moment a world dies. Thousands of miles away, the temperature drops 40 degrees in a matter of years, locking the planet in a crystalline tomb of ice. The giants of the Pleistocene, once the undisputed kings of the Earth, are about to face an enemy they cannot outrun. For thousands of years, the Earth had been warming. The Great Ice Age was receding, glaciers were melting, and humanity was beginning to flourish in a world of abundance. But around 12,800 years ago, something went wrong. This period, known as the Younger Dryas, represents one of the most abrupt and mysterious climate reversals in the history of the planet. Within a generation, the warming trend vanished, replaced by a 1,000-year deep freeze that reshaped the face of the Earth and wiped out the legendary Megafauna. The scale of the loss is staggering. Before the Younger Dryas, North and South America were home to creatures that seemed like they belonged in a fantasy novel. There were ground sloths the size of elephants, beavers as large as bears, and the terrifying Smilodon, the saber-toothed cat. These animals had survived previous ice ages and warming periods for millions of years. Yet, during the Younger Dryas, they disappeared almost overnight. The question that haunts geologists and historians alike is not just when it happened, but why? The first major theory focuses on the delicate balance of the ocean. As the great ice sheets over North America began to melt, a massive lake of fresh water, known as Lake Agassiz, formed behind a wall of ice. When that ice dam finally broke, a colossal volume of fresh water rushed into the North Atlantic. This sudden influx disrupted the conveyor belt of ocean currents that bring warmth from the equator to the north. Without this heat, the northern hemisphere was plunged back into the dark ages of winter. This theory suggests a world of cascading failures, where a single flood triggered a global collapse of ecosystems. However, a more controversial and explosive theory has gained ground in recent years, the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis. Supporters of this theory point to a thin layer of sediment found across 3 continents, known as the Black Mat. Within this layer, researchers have discovered nanodiamonds, metallic microspherules, and high concentrations of iridium, all markers of a cosmic impact. They argue that a fragmented comet struck the Laurentide ice sheet, triggering massive wildfires and throwing enough soot and dust into the atmosphere to block the sun for years. This would explain the suddenness of the extinction and the scorched earth evidence found in the geological record. Imagine the chaos of such an event. If a comet did strike the ice, the resulting steam and meltwater would have caused instant, catastrophic flooding across the globe. The heat would have ignited millions of square miles of forest, creating a smoke shroud that cooled the planet instantly. For the great mammoths and the Clovis people, the early humans of North America, the world they knew simply ceased to exist. The plants died, the herbivores starved, and the predators followed shortly after. The Younger Dryas was not just a period of death, but a crucible for the survivors. As the forests vanished and the plains turned to tundra, the humans who remained had to adapt or perish. Many scholars believe this sudden environmental pressure forced humans to move towards agriculture and more permanent settlements in the Middle East, as the old way of wandering and hunting became impossible in a frozen wasteland. It was a turning point that arguably birthed modern civilization, born from the ashes of a global disaster. The mystery of the giants remains a cautionary tale. It serves as a reminder of how fragile the Earth's systems truly are. Whether the cause was a breaking ice dam or a visitor from the stars, the Younger Dryas proved that the climate does not always change slowly over millions of years. Sometimes it shifts in a heartbeat. The bones of the mammoths buried beneath the permafrost tell a story of a world that was lush and vibrant one day and a frozen graveyard the next. Today, scientists continue to sift through the dirt and ice cores looking for the final piece of the puzzle. Every year, new evidence emerges, leaning sometimes towards the ocean currents and sometimes towards the stars. The black mat layer remains a silent witness to a time when the sky fell and the earth grew cold. The giants are gone, leaving behind only shadows in the soil and questions that continue to challenge our understanding of history. As the sun sets over the modern world, it's easy to forget that we live on a planet that has seen fire and ice on a scale we can barely imagine. The Younger Dryas is a window into that volatile past. It tells us that our history is not just a steady climb, but a series of dramatic chapters, some of which end in fire and some of which end in ice. The mystery of what wiped out the giants is more than just a scientific curiosity. It's a ghost story written in the very crust of the earth, waiting for us to finally hear its warning.